Welcome to Carlton's Math Corner. Today, we're going to continue our study on real numbers. So at this time, will you please make sure that you have your math journal, your vocabulary packet, as well as something to write with. Today, our target is I can order rational numbers from least to greatest without a calculator. So here is a set of numbers. Notice that there are brackets on the outside. That shows us that it's a group of numbers. So we have -5/8, 1 and 23/100, negative square root of 36, and then -6 and 2/3. Our job is to organize or order them from least to greatest. Well, I want you to look at the following work. Will you make some observations? What steps do you observe? Well, the first thing that I notice is that in step number 1, I notice that each of these rational numbers have been changed to decimals. I notice that 5/8, in order to change that to a decimal, we took the numerator divided by the denominator, 5 divided by 8. And I noticed that in order to divide, basically we went through these different steps. The first I noticed is we did 8 into 5 and that didn't work, so we put a decimal point and we put a 0 because we added some numbers, so we added a 0. And then I noticed that we did 8 into 50, so we divided 8 into 50 and it goes in there 6 times. And then we multiplied. 6 times 8 is 48. And then notice we subtracted. 50 minus 48 is 2 because we got a remainder. And then I noticed that since we had a remainder, I had to bring down another 0. So now we have 20. And the process started all over again. 8 into 20 goes in there twice. And so 2 times 8 is 16. And then we subtract. 20 minus 16 is 4. Still a remainder, so I had to bring down a 0. And then we start all over. 8 into 40 goes in there 5. And 8 times 5 is 40. So we have a remainder of 0. Well, I learned a saying, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? And this saying helps me to remember that I need to divide, multiply, subtract, check for that remainder, and then bring down a 0 or bring down any additional numbers that are left in the problem. And so if I just continually do this over and over and over again until I get to a remainder of 0, then I know that I am dividing correctly. And so with a remainder of 0 at the bottom, my answer as a decimal is -0.625. So -5/8 is equivalent to -0.625. Well, 1.23 is already a decimal, so that one stayed the same. Negative square root of 36. Well, if I put that in my calculator, I know the square root of 36 is 6, and it took the negative sign, so I'm going to put the negative on the outside. And then over here, I noticed that the -6 stayed the same because that is 6 wholes, or -6 wholes. And then 2/3, it looks like they changed the 2/3 to a decimal, 2 divided by 3. And we got 0.6 repeating. That's what that repetance sign means. So -6 and 2/3 is the same as -6.6 repeating. Okay, so that's step number 1, change everything to decimals. Step 2, what I notice is that all of the decimals are lined up, meaning all the decimal points are lined up, but also all the place values are lined up. The tenths place are all together, the hundredths place, the thousandths place, even the ones place, all together. And then on the third step, I notice that basically this must be ordering them from least to greatest. Well, The negatives are smaller than the positives. So no matter what, these three negatives are going to be first before the positive because they are least. And now I have to decide, though, which one truly is the least. Now remember, with negatives, the number that is furthest from zero, so the one that looks bigger, is the one that's the least one. And so looking at the ones place, I always start in the place value furthest to the left. So if I look at, and I'm going to take out a highlighter, if I look at the first place value, well, this one is negative, if there's nothing there, it's -0. This one is -6 and -6. Well, remember, the ones that look bigger are smaller. So it's between -6, -6. These two are the smallest. This one is not, because 0 is not further from 0 than 6, than -6. So since these are tied, then I'm going to go on to the tens place. And it looks like this one is bigger. It looks bigger. But because it's negative, that means it's further from 0. So it is least. It's the smallest. So that's why this one's number 1. And then this one's automatically number 2 because that was the other one that was tied. And then this one is automatically 3 because it's the last negative. And this one right here is the greatest because it's the only positive. And so that this is the order in which they go. And notice down here, the answers are written with the numbers that were originally given to me. And so -6 2/3, that is number 1. Number 2 is -√36. -5/8 is the next one. And then 1.23 is the fourth one. Okay, so our steps. So basically our steps are change all the rational numbers to decimals, line up the decimal points, and then order them from least to greatest, or sometimes we have to do greatest to least. Okay? So for tomorrow, I actually want you to try 2 problems for me. Okay, so these are your ticket problems. Please change them, all the decimals first. Line up those decimal points, and then organize them from least to greatest. Thank you so much for joining me at Carlton's Math Corner, and I look forward to meeting with you again.